In this video, we're going to go over some bullish Bitcoin signals, some fundamental analysis, and some awesome Bitcoin news and a potential price for 2022. Let's get right into this. Thank you for checking out the channel. Every day we put out a new video about cryptocurrency education, markets, giveaways, and more. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any content. Now, let's go to the moon. Let's start with the Bitcoin chart. As you know, Bitcoin leads the whole cryptocurrency market. So if Bitcoin isn't doing well, the whole market isn't going to do well. If Bitcoin is prosperous, altcoins will be breaking all-time highs. NFTs will be doing well. Generally, the whole market will be doing awesome. So let's get into the technical analysis. We're on the weekly right now. I love that Bitcoin's holding above the 50 EMA. We're about 30% from the top. So if you're dollar cost averaging or just stacking sats, this isn't a bad place to add. As you can see right here in this accumulation zone, we kind of just grinded before we popped off. Let's go into the daily and look at some of these bullish signals. So what I'm noticing right here is off the bat is we're making lows, as you can see. We are making lower lows and lower highs, while the RSI, so if we pull this up right here, the RSI is making higher lows. So I'm seeing a divergence right there, and you can see that clear divergence. We saw something similar right here as well. On the previous larger drop we had this year, where we were making lows, and the RSI was making highs before we popped off huge. Like, this was an awesome place to buy. Look at from the top, from the bottom to the top. That was over 100% move. So we're seeing a similar pattern here. This is like a falling wedge. I'm going to draw a descending triangle as well, and we're going to look at into smaller time frames. But this is pretty much a similar pattern. We saw a lot of fear, pretty much a shakeout. Also, it doesn't help with rising inflation, the new variant, the Omicron. Like, there's so much fear in markets, uncertainty it's just crazy. A lot of people are getting fudded out of their bags. So we're seeing very similar patterns right there. And I'm going to go into some more bullish signals that I'm seeing. So I love using the 4 and 9 EMA. If we take this off so this is more clear, we'll zoom in. So check this out right here. So aside from the divergence on the RSI and price as well, you have the daily 4 and 9. So if I remove the price, so you guys can see this a lot easier, we have the 4 and 9 moving bullish crossover. So the smaller time frame, the faster time frame, the 4 is crossing over the 9 to the upside, giving us a bullish crossover. The last time we had that at this sort of bottom, like where we were close in down low at RSI and this large of a pullback, we had a huge pump. Like, you could take a look at this percentage wise. So this was an awesome buying opportunity as well, 45%. So after this prolonged downtrend, we are now, let me put the price back on. After this prolonged downtrend, we are now seeing a crossover on the daily. So generally that's like a decent buy. And that'll get you a decent buy near the bottom as well. Like, you can wait till this trend line breaks, which I know a lot of people like doing, wait for the pullback. So this would be the higher low right here, buying on some sort of support or variation of bullish candles, and then riding it up here. But you could be buying on this crossover and this bullish engulfing candle right here. This is an awesome entry in my opinion. You will need to be using a stop loss and be actively monitoring your position, because my buy order right here, or my signal could, turn bearish in the next few hours if price affects it, obviously. So you need to definitely be watching it. Unless you're dollar cost averaging or just buying Bitcoin to hold for 5-10 years, then it's always good to buy Bitcoin. So let's break this down on the 4 hour. I'm seeing a descending triangle right here, which is usually bearish. I mean, Most of the time it's bearish. If it plays out, it's going down. I'm going to take the wick right here. We are seeing the perfect rejection zone right here. So a lot of people may be getting bullish that we did pop off, but this is the perfect place to get rejected. Especially with so much bullish signals. I know the Fed announcement 2 weeks ago was generally bullish as the price popped off, and it wasn't anything crazy announced. We're expecting three, interest hikes over the next year. I'm not too familiar with it, but nothing crazy. So as Bitcoin loves to do, as we saw previously, I'm going to show you guys what Bitcoin loves to do. And then we'll go into the fundamental analysis, and then we'll go into some Bitcoin news that I think is generally very, very bullish. So Bitcoin, if we take a look at this similar price action right here, where we drop down in price, like this is like a roller coaster. We just drop down. Everybody's super bearish. We catch a bunch of longs here. So now people are long and hoping this is the bottom. So let's say the average long is right here. Even though this is like an awesome position, now you could put your stop loss at the bottom here. You know, you're putting your stop loss at the low. So some people generally move it up as well, or some people just take their profits. So you can see you got stopped out potentially, you got stopped out, you got stopped out here, because this made a whole new low. Like if I was long, I would have definitely got stopped out here. About 5%. And then you can see here, if you got along somewhere here, you got stopped out as well. And probably when you thought Bitcoin was just going to keep going lower and make a new low right here, it exploded to the upside. So I'm looking at something similar here. Even though we are popping off right now, we're getting the daily crossover on the 409. I think that we might see something similar to this price action right here, where we do like a fake out. We drop down and break. It looks like we're breaking this descending triangle to the downside. We might swipe the lows here to, you know what, we would stop all longs in this area. And we would also be doing another thing. We would be activating all shorts. So not only do we crush longs, we activate shorts, and then the Bitcoin move that everybody knows that happens, we explode. So then that would leave the shorts in a really bad place. So Bitcoin is the king at doing that, screwing up both sides of the party. The wick masters, the market makers, they really screw with us here. Sometimes it's hard to get solid entries because I feel like sometimes I'm always getting wicked out. So you really need to be patient. So like right here, this is very choppy until it really popped off. And then you get a lot of deviations like this one where you think it broke the high and that it might continue here, but it actually went to make lows. So it's sometimes just buying and just stacking and just buying and stacking. You can't beat that sometimes. Then the person is just trying to buy and sell, unless they have a super sound strategy that works for them, then they'll always outperform the buy and holder. So let's go into some fundamental analysis. This is from Willy Woo, and I love his fundamental analysis. This is the Bitcoin NVT signal. NVT ratio runs the ratio of BTC's valuation to the underlying investor's volume moving on-chain, in effect Bitcoin's price to earnings ratio. This chart is NVT signal, which is a version of NVT, which has been adapted to be more responsive. So you can see here, highlighted in the green, is where it's super bullish. He also mentioned it's also worth observing is NFT signal, one of the earliest on-chain signals, is now in a rare oversold zone. So you can see right here where we popped off very huge. Here, this was huge as well. This was the COVID crash, I believe. So we're in this rare like bottom, which is signaling a Bitcoin bottom, which has usually moved into prices to the upwards. So this is bullish. This is actually looking really good. This is also super bullish, this Bitcoin PDL oscillator. You can see the divergence where it's similar to the RSI I was showing you, where the price is moving downwards, but this oscillator is moving upwards. So you can see that clear divergence, the non-confirmation with price and divergence, and then we got the pop-off. So you can see here, same thing we're doing, where price is moving downwards, the oscillator is moving upwards. Interest is gaining. You know, more people are buying Bitcoin, more people are stacking it. The fear is slowly diminishing away, and I think we will get another pop-off as well. I'm kind of looking at the market cap, Bitcoin dominance, and generally, like when we came last bull run into the end of year, Bitcoin had a little bounce. So I'm expecting some sort of bounce for Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin's dominance. You can see here as well, RSI is putting in higher lows and the price is putting in lower highs. We're having some small divergence here as well. And I'm hoping if we can do the same thing we did last bull run, because every bull run's completely different. In 2013, we had a double pump. In 2017, we had like this huge blow off top, and now we're slowly grinding. Like we didn't, when we broke all-time high 64 grand to 68 grand, like that wasn't anything crazy. Maybe 68, 69, I'm not really even sure. It wasn't anything substantial for me to remember. So you know, I'm hoping we get a bounce here and Bitcoin gains some more strength and it can kind of reclaim and start leading the market again. And then everything will prosper with Bitcoin. This is some bullish news, and then we'll go into a potential price if Bitcoin does pop and it does a double pump like 2013. So this is huge. Lend secures 70 million in Series B funding, announces world's first Bitcoin-backed mortgage product. I don't think it's the world's first Bitcoin-backed mortgage product, as I met a VC in Dubai who they're doing this in New York, in US, and so this could be the second. Nonetheless, this is awesome, because if somebody had 10 Bitcoins and they didn't want to sell all their Bitcoins, they can send it to Lend. They could get 100% loan against their Bitcoins, and then they could get a mortgage without selling their Bitcoins. And like, for example, I have a corp here. I'm not a resident in Canada anymore, but to get a mortgage, it's hell. You know, I need to put up 25%. I need to sell the Bitcoin. I need to show, like a bunch of things. It's so much easier for me just to send Bitcoin, lock it up, borrow against the Bitcoin, get the asset, start earning rent or whatever it may be. Bitcoin goes up in value or whatever. I make some more trades, paid back off, get my Bitcoin. I never have to sell the Bitcoin again. This is huge. There's so much Bitcoin products being introduced, like ETFs. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin, especially when we move into Q1 of 2022 and when we're moving in with this huge uncertainty of markets. Like I said, rising inflation and so much other problems that I don't even want to talk about right now or think about. So a lot of people, companies, institutions, countries will probably reposition, rebalance their portfolio back into Bitcoin, put it back on the sheets. It'll go public. I think we'll see a lot of that in January. So in 2013, we saw a huge double pump into the over bought area right here at the top. We saw a huge double pump. I think you can have this on your trading view as well as the rainbow logarithmic chart. But you can see here, one pump consolidated for a few months and then another one. In 2017, we had just a slow grind, and then we had this huge blow off top in the last month in December. And then we had an altcoin season for a few months after, and then total hell for 3 years, which I'm glad I got to witness and lose a bunch of money. So definitely learned a lot from that. Anyways, going into 2022, I think if we can break our all-time high, we're in the bottom of this chart right here. You can see that this is oversold. We're peeking into the oversold, which is generally a great time to buy. Let me zoom into this. So yeah. No. We're peeking into the bearish. Oversold is 25K. So we're peeking into the bearish, and we're working working our way into oversold. So generally, these are better times to buy Bitcoin than buying in the overbought. If we look at Bitcoin historic price action, Bitcoin has never broke previous all-time high. Why is that important? Because that means that Bitcoin will never break $20,000 because it's never broke its previous cycle's all-time high, especially now that we're getting closer and closer to the Bitcoin halving. I mean, it's like 900 days away, but you know what I mean. It'll happen very quickly, especially with everything that's happening in the world. Time's flying. So if we do bounce back up, I can see Bitcoin working its way to the $200,000 mark. I can see Bitcoin potentially top off 175, $225,000. That's kind of the place I'm looking at. And then towards the next halving, I'm really hoping that we have a bigger cycle. There's more integration. There's more, blockchain integrated across actual governments and everyday use cases, actually using some sort of currency. I don't know if Bitcoin Lightning will come out as quick as we want, but I'm even down to use any sort of digital currency, not government-based, in the future. So I think that we will see $200,000 hopefully in 2022, something in that region. I'll start selling when Bitcoin starts moving rapidly to the upside, where we start seeing some sort of blow off top, unless Bitcoin starts gradually and very slowly just making new highs, as it's been very stagnant lately. But I don't think we are entering into a bear market. I don't think we are following the current or previous Bitcoin 4-year cycle, and I think it's going to be different for 2022. So I'm still holding. I'm looking for all-time highs. I'm holding Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are the majority of my portfolio, and then I am trading in and out of altcoins to stack more Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then obviously some NFTs, DeFi's, and all that great stuff on the side. So that's the quick video on Bitcoin, where I think Bitcoin's going, some bullish news on Bitcoin, the technicals, the fundamentals, and all that great stuff. If you guys have any questions, post them below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.